Alrighty, we have rested and stocked up on some potions and arrows and whatnot. Pretty good shape there. We are going to talk to Nettie. But before we do, we're going to continue poking around here a little bit, poking through the Druids Sanctum just to see what's in here. And there was some interesting information on those plaques. And there's nothing here that we could really take without getting in trouble. There's a stairway right here. Well, I do like a character who has dark vision. Oh, that's right, Kagha's chest. We can find out some information on dear Kagha via that chest. Yeah, I am a big fan of dark vision. I've never had a Tav who's had it before. Oh, let's just go ahead and take that. We'll read that in a moment. And I just remembered that I have to examine the locket that we got as a reward for saving Arabella. Should be something that we can give Gale. We're going to get him entirely out of here. In case the guy who goes into that room where Kagha's chest was determines that something is missing. First thing we'll do is we will examine Komira's locket, which is what we got as a reward for helping Arabella. Terrible inset on the picture, so I hope I can figure out a way to present those items a little better. Komira's locket grants the wearer the ability to cast dancing lights. And dancing lights is an evocation cantrip that illuminates a 9-meter radius. This would come in pretty handy in the Shadow Curse lands and dark areas. The description for this item: work carefully into the locket's metal back are the words "Never Dark Again." Like I said, it can be quite useful in the Shadow Curse lands and other dark areas. However, this is an item that Gale can absorb, and it's not really a very useful item. It won't be for a long time, and there are items that I would definitely sooner give him, or not sooner give him. Faldorn's Canticle, the Shadow Druid's Doctrine. The Sage Tome's corners are mossy and alive with tiny insects. A brief history lesson on Faldorn. She was a Shadow Druid who appeared in Baldur's Gate 2, and she was militant, really militant, and she valued forest over human life. And Brian's ward, who's the Tav in Baldur's Gate 2, if you go to this grove and try to free the grove of monsters, monsters, there are trolls and some other beasts there, cats, spiders. At any rate, in order to loosen the Shadow Druid's grip on that grove, you have to defeat and kill Faldorn. She was maniacal. She really was. Very interesting adversary. As for her Canticle, the book's spine is limber from overuse. The corner of one page is folded inwards. Balance is a myth. Where any clan treads, nature struggles. Unity is a fiction. Men of mere flesh seek only to tame beasts and raise flora. We are the thunder, and we are the rain. We shatter mankind and grow new life in its place. Yeah, that was Faldorn to a T. Kagha must go. She's everyone's enemy, pretty much. And along with Faldorn's Canticle that we found in Kagha's chest, we also have a half-torn note. And that note reads, Kagha, swamp dogs, tree, meet me, alone, all of them. The marks crisscrossing this page don't describe so much as slash. So Kagha, well, she's up to no good, obviously. When we get to the swamp, eventually we will investigate her fully.
Go. Never wanted the easy path.
Huh. Okay, that rat's name is Olodin. That's who wrote the note. So these are shadow druids. And they are keeping a watch on this place. We'll talk to Rath real quick.
You did well to speak up for the girl. That snake is fickle. A tragedy prevented.
Kagha seems dangerous.
Well seen. Well spotted. We've let a snake replace our leader.
How did Kagha take over the whole bro?
She is first druid in Halsin's absence. With him caught or dared by goblins, none may gainsay. But more will die if her ritual is finished. I doubt those exiled by the right will survive long outside.
No one's looking for Halsin. I could do it.
Would you? I would give anything to see Halsin return home.
No need to fret. I'll find him.
Sylvanus' blessing upon you, and my gratitude as well. Halsin is an elf with the presence of a bear. He left west with the adventurers. You won't mistake the first druid for anyone else.
Yeah, she cannot stay in charge. I wonder how many of these people in here are shadow druids. Rath is obviously not.
I should speak up.
Loic.
Please leave. Our hospitality has limits, and they were crossed long ago.
Yeah, he's not a druid. Well, he's a shadow druid. He's a druid, but shadow druid.
What will the tieflings want next? Letting the Hellchild go was a mistake.
Another shadow druid.
We just let her run off.
She's a child.
A devil child. One who tried to steal.
Maybe Loic is not a shadow druid.
Yet she failed. That's what matters.
Alright, Nettie, let's see what you have to say.
I see you. Just give me a moment.
Is there anything I can do to help?
A moment.
Vis medicatrix.
There. It's up to her now. Life or death. Now, what was it you needed?
Healing. Looks like I came to the right person.
I do what I can. For most folks, that's enough. Come here. Let's have a look at you. You seem healthy enough. A bit tired around the eyes, maybe.
Right. Yes, I'm very tired indeed.
Then get some rest. There's no better magic. Take a nip of whiskey before bed if you need to. Come back to me if that doesn't do it.
That's actually not bad advice. I do that sometimes.
Stores. But no blue leaf sap. And? Feeling any better?
Healing. As soon as possible, please.
Come here. Let's have a look at you. You seem healthy enough. A bit tired around the eyes, maybe.
Yeah, definitely should not have chosen 3 the first time. More than tired. Something crawled into my eye.
Crawled in? Some sort of bug? Or... Wait, did it look like a tadpole? But from your worst nightmare? All slime, teeth, and tentacles.
What other kinds are there? It's not like a frog hopped in my eye.
That's a serious condition. Come, follow me. I might be able to help. We need to be quick. This way. This one had the same problem as you. Attacked us in the woods together with some goblins. Tadpole crawled out of his head soon after.
I'm hoping for a less grave cure.
I'll do the best I can. I'm no Master Halsin, mind. He'd have your tadpole out like that. Still, we have options. All right. Let's see what we can do.
First, what's that plant? Will it help?
She shifts uneasily, hesitating. Something's off.
It might. But first things first. Tell me about your symptoms. Have you noticed anything strange happening?
It might? What aren't you telling me?
I'm telling you everything you need to know. Believe me on that. I want to help you, but I can't unless you work with me. So, has anything unusual happened to you?
I can merge my mind with anyone else who's infected.
Victims can identify each other. Not that the others know they're victims, of course. How'd you pick up the parasite? Halsin was desperate to find where all this was happening.
On a mind flayer ship. I was kidnapped, then infected.
A mind flayer ship?
Ha! Should just
Master
close the
Halsin
door.
was sure. Look, you've been straight with me, so I'll be straight with you. You're dangerous. If you transform here, we're all dead. But you seem like a good soul. You deserve a chance to save yourself. This is a vial of wyvern poison. Swear to me, you'll swallow it if you feel any symptoms.
I thought you could cure me. What about that branch of yours?
The thorn? Coated in a fatal toxin. It was a last resort, in case I couldn't trust you. I don't have a cure. Only a way out. I'm sorry for misleading you, but I had to be sure you weren't a threat before I told you everything. Now, do I have your word or not?
Alright, hand it over.
Swear it.
No, I'm not taking poison from a woman I can't trust.
But you have to. Don't you understand? You could kill us all.
I don't think that'll happen, and I'm not ready to die.
Then I've no choice. I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's Mono E Druid. Oh, she's got 72 hit points. That's not good. And that's worse. And that's even worse. She healed herself. Oh man. Yes, you do. Yeah, he's done. Okay. Dang. Yeah, he got wiped out fast. Holy crap. Am I going to be able to beat her with the rest of my party? That's...
Swift and lethal.
Oh, come on. That'll work.
In my best interest.
Ah, not enough movement. Seriously?
No holding back. Let's spill some blood. Tormented.
Cool, the flaming spear is gone.
Swords meet sorcery.
Now she's feeble for 10 rounds. I don't think Nettie had any resistances. No. Her best attribute, of course, is wisdom, because she's a druid. Comes with level 1 spells, has dwarven resistant. Combat extender, that's one of the mods that I installed to make battles harder.
Let's end this.
Which it definitely was. Mars got, or not Mars, Titus got destroyed in seconds. Maybe casting Cloud of Daggers was not the smartest idea. And here she goes with another flaming spear. Got Lizzo. Ho! 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 Ho!
Here goes nothing.
I was hoping that would break her concentration. Yeah, why not?
Tormented.
There it goes.
Over here.
I will ascend. I must be true.
I don't fancy their chances.
I'm feeling a little better about ours. Well, let's give her a number 2.
Can't afford to let up.
Oh. Dang, dang, dang. Oh, no, 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 no.
Here goes nothing. Fleet of foot. There's blood in the air.
There's blood on the ground. Don't step in the hot area. Would not be prudent. He's going to anyway. Damn it.
Time to strike.
The last board is set. With ease.
It hasn't been that easy, buddy. There she goes. Well, so much for help from healer Nettie. Somebody needs to help out poor Lae'zel, though.
Come on, up you get.
Enough waiting. The craze burns.
Ah. Okay, how do I cancel Clouded Daggers? Can I? Okay, I have to bring 2 people back from the dead.
Wits and blades.
Well, that's not good.
Take your
Wounds are too much to bear.
Come on. Now the Cloud of Daggers is done.
Take you.
My injuries need tending.
Yeah, yours and mine both.
That helped.
Oh. Alright, let us see what Nettie has on her. Then we will get to doing some serious looting. Key of the Ancients. This comes with that. It's a headband. Comes with nature +1. It's not a really powerful item per se. However, it's more than just a headband. As the title would suggest, it is a key. Key of the Ancients. The branches of this circlet are half fossilized, passed down through generations of druids, fabricated during the founding of the grove. The wreath is forever linked to its lands, the tiny rubies connected to its stones and structures, bidding them to do their bidding. This is a key that opens doors we would not otherwise be able to open. We will send it to Shadowheart. We will get to that presently. We also got the wyvern toxin that she was talking about, a couple good berries, which are camp supplies. So, not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. There's our dissected drow. Now on this table, let's see, a hastily written note, Halsin's pipe, Halsin's journal, volume 1. notes on the drow parasite and a mind flayer parasite specimen. If this is your first playthrough, you might be wondering how important that is. It is very important. Go ahead and pick it up. Now we will read the hastily written note. My dear Nettie, I entrust you with the circlet to open the library. Wear it always. If you need to enter the vault, talk to Rath. He has the rune, but won't give it to anyone. So be sure you have good reason to ask. Protect my research while I'm gone, and take care of the animals. Don't give fish to Tuffet. She's getting lazy. Master Halsin. That's the second warning we've had about Tuffet and her being lazy. But now we know the circlet will open the library along with other doors, and there is a vault in here. And that vault is beneath this monument right here. You kind of get a hint that there might be a stairway here, and there is. And you need runes to open it. And the rune that Rath has is the final piece of the puzzle, basically. So that was a hastily written note. Let's check his journal.
Cursed to put my hands on everything.
Extraordinary happenings. While meditating in the forest, Nettie and I were ambushed by a pack of goblins, led by a drow. We had no choice but to defend ourselves. But that is not the extraordinary, or rather, disturbing part. On the drow's death, a parasitic creature emerged from the corpse and attempted to escape. I managed to capture it and have the host's cadaver here in my study. I've told no one of my fears. Nettie suspects, but knows better than to ask. I will investigate further before informing the others. Kagha will certainly demand answers that I do not have yet. I'd better record any further findings in a separate volume and keep them upon my person, lest prying eyes jump to the wrong conclusions. He did not trust Kagha, although he left her in command during his absence. That's a
More for me.
rather curious thing. I mean, why leave somebody in command whom you do not
Looks like
trust?
Halsin's our best bet for a cure.
Then let's fight. Time is short.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of work. We're going to close this door. Because I'm going to be doing some looting in here. And I don't want any prying eyes. We'll check the chests while I'm recording, and then I'll pause to loot the rest of the stuff. Here we have 3 healing potions, which are always welcome.
What's hiding here?
Do we have any other chests? Yeah, we have a wicked chest over here. The Unclaimed. In life, her service had been impeccable. Daily did she devote herself to the Lady of Loss. Daily did she free herself from the tyranny of memory. All, in time, was lost to her. Her relations, preferences, even her own name. Upon the altar of her devotion placed she the ultimate offering, her emptied mind. And when she died, when she awoke in death and found herself standing in the pale and fated city of judgment, she waited for the Lady of Loss to retrieve her. 1,000,000 souls and more passed in her colorless gust, but no hand materialized in her hand. No voice whispered instruction in her ear. No guidance proffered itself from the bleached and barren sky. Time, immaterial time, passed around her like air, coming and going, and still the goddess did not come for her devotee. Kalimdor pitied her, as much as the Lord of the Dead is able, but could not intervene. This cleric of the Lady of Loss, unclaimed despite her worthiness, Might yet have one more lesson to learn. That not of forgetting, but being forgotten. The texts in here are so worthy of reading, even if they don't immediately apply to the plot. Oral Histories of Faerun, the Spellplague. We'll first examine it to see if there's anything especially noteworthy of it. It's a very old tome, so we will read about the Spellplague. This book is comprised of several chapters, one for each cited source. It claims to contain first-hand transcriptions of the oral histories of several storytellers throughout the realm. Chapter 25. Cornelius and Tomelius Worthywart, halflings encountered on the Golden Road, south of Innerlith. I met the brothers, or rather, they found me, in the lower pass through the Fire-Sheer Mountains. They had encountered a trail of golden discs along the path, and had resolved to gather and return them to, quote-unquote, whatever fool had more coin than common sense. It was to our mutual embarrassment, then, that I removed my cloak to reveal my patchwork yellow hide. It was molting season, I explained, and a traveler on the road had not the luxury to shed their scales in private, as would be proper. Interesting. Scales, gold, golden dragon. I suspect they knew too little of Dragonborn to be appropriately disgusted, and instead invited me to sup with them. Over a roadside fire, I learned of the purpose behind their journey. Cornelius. Lorn, my lad, our ancestral home. It was lost during the Spellplague. Tomelius. Weren't nothing lost, Colin. It's not Nan's Lucky Nashers, is it? It's Saint. Wasn't I there when the blue fire took it? Sure. What do you remember? You were knee-high to a gnome. I remember you crying. Maybe it was you that stank the place. Sank the place. Are you going back to finish the job? Watch that lip, lest I fatten it. Only a fool speaks ill of his homeland. Her brows were bristling dangerously, and so I diverted hostilities by speaking of my own people's ancestral home, the blighted world of Aviar, and the 1,000-year tyranny of dragons we lived under, until the blue fire of the Spellplague brought us to this world. It's, cool reading. Very cool reading. I'll check this wooden chest, and then we will check the library. 2 more potions of healing. The Evil Eye, we've read that just a little bit ago. Try and pick and choose what might have something noteworthy in them. I think the wicker baskets are just going to mainly have camp supplies, so I'll forego the rest of those. Here we have a book titled On Antidotes. A deep crease in the spine makes the booklet fall open to reveal one recipe in particular. Neat writing in the corner marks it as an antidote for all known potions. This is it, the recipe that made me decide to publish my notes. The story might not interest you, but I shall record it for posterity. Feel free to skip to the actual recipe. I was sitting in the elf song, sipping my usual hot cocoa, the heat soothing the pain in my scaleless hands. A small child, human, stumbled through the door, sick as a dog. All the other patrons seemed like they wanted to help, but nobody could pay for an antidote for a stranger's kid. Meanwhile, the ingredients were just lying around, in the kitchen. Every single one of those people could have saved that kid, but only I knew how. It felt like a crime. Now we get the antidote, and it should add a recipe for us. Cool, so we have a recipe for making an antidote. Alright, let's trip back here. See what's on the shelves. and then I'll loot the rest of this stuff. Make sure you pick up herbs and whatnot. They will assist you in alchemical solutions. Okay, so here we get a scroll of Gust of Wind on Death and Resurrection. Yeah, we will give that a read. An excerpt from the ongoing metatext, Rebound by Isolfe Ogun, a scholar excommunicated from the Church of Denir for her heretical efforts to reconstruct the metatext, her god's annal of lost and hidden knowledge. Of what value is a life? Far too esoteric a topic to warrant any serious critical consideration between these pages, surely. Or so it would seem at first glance. But once we push aside the mysticism and dewy-eyed sentiment so often clouding our assessment, it is clear that across all the spinning planes, each and every life does indeed have a quantifiable value. It is simply that not all are equally valuable. Consider. We already know that the destruction of our material form is not the end. If anything, our souls are more free after death, transcending planar barriers in search of a resting place that most befits our deeds, beliefs, and station in life. But even this assessment is subject to market forces. Lord Kalimvor, weighing our souls against how thoroughly we have given them over to other gods, empowering them in turn. There is, of course, an alternate route. Not the end of the path, but the chance to retread it. Clerics across the realms wield the power to return life to any soul deemed worthy or willing enough. It is strange, then, that these so frequently intersect with those deemed wealthy enough, for the components for such a spell are beyond the means of most mortals. I have interviewed those who have made such a return, and in truth have found them to be of the most dull and unimaginative sort that I cannot possibly imagine what it is they were so eager to return to. If a true assessment of the journey is to be made, then there is simply no replacement for embarking upon it oneself. Perhaps, one day, this great volume of learning will make me worthy enough to walk that path and wealthy enough to return. Money makes the world go round. Missives of Candlekeep. This book is packed full of meticulously copied letters, preserving even the handwriting of the originals. That's pretty cool. A select collection of the most notable letters sent from Candlekeep. Many are reports of celestial movements or incomprehensible details of arcane rituals. However, one letter does catch my eye. To Sage Elminster, over the past year, I've delivered many of your letters to Master Gorion, so I wanted to be the one to deliver this sad news. Alas, he is with us no more. Gorion and his ward left Candlekeep soon after our last letter to him arrived. They departed in the middle of the night, but were waylaid shortly after on the road to Baldur'S. The gate warden tells me that Gorion saw to it that several of his attackers joined him in the next world before he was struck down. I hope this brings you the same grim comfort it brings me. Of his ward, however, there was no sign. That is about Baldur's Gate 1 events that took place there. Gorion and his ward, who is the Tab of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, left Candlekeep to go to Baldur'S, and on their way they were attacked by Sarevok and some of Sarevok's cronies, and Gorion was struck down. It was Sarevok's attempt to kill Gorion's ward, who was a ball spawn like Sarevok. And that's pretty much where the similarity ends between the two in Baldur's Gate 1. In Baldur's Gate 2, Throne of Ball, you actually get a chance to repair their relationship, which is really cool. On with the letter that we were reading. In some better news, I received your letter to the library and was able to find much of the material you requested. It has been carefully secured and will travel with this letter. Yours in honor, Tristan P. Shell, librarian at Candlekeep. Postscript. I hope you'll forgive my curiosity, but might I ask, why do you need so much information about Ballspawn? What exactly are you working on? To shed further light on this, Elminster does play a part in Baldur's Gate 1 and Baldur's Gate 2, as he does in Baldur's Gate 3, more as a guiding hand than an active part, but nonetheless, he does play a part. And him investigating Ballspawn makes absolute sense. We didn't know it in Baldur's Gate 1, but the Ballspawn were preparing to make war on each other in an attempt for the survivors to ascend as the gods of murder. So there's some very cool history here on the games that preceded Baldur's Gate 3. One of which is a superior game. Baldur's Gate 2 has yet to be equaled, and I doubt that it ever will. Soul Coins, Atreides. So we have a book on soul coins, which we got one from a tiefling when we saved her from a bugbear assassin. Academic disclosure. This research was funded independently and conducted at a site in Avernus, the first plane of the Nine Hells. Candlekeep does not encourage or promote the entrapment of mortal souls. Soul coins, as a concept, are one of merciless simplicity. The sum of personal and magical essence, the soul, is bound into a minted piece of infernal iron and used as currency by devils in their cohort. These coins are frequently traded, for their value can purchase mercenaries, magical items, and even fuel the strange engines in the hells. That is noteworthy. These coins will come into play when we meet Karlach, who has an engine for a heart. Continuing. However, there is a fascinating culture surrounding the soul coins as well. I spoke to a devil who admitted she has one coin that she will never sell, for it was the bargain that got her promoted out of Lenore status. She connected me to a half-elf warlock who had promised his soul to a coin after death. I was able to look at his contract, which is reproduced below. The next 50 pages appear to be a painstakingly written document in Infernal, with a headache-inducing number of footnotes. Yeah, typical contract, I think. Oral Histories of Faerun, Gith, and Mind Flayers. So this is rather interesting. It covers Mind Flayers, which we may end up becoming, and it covers Gith. We have one in our party, and soon we will have two, and we can get a hireling. This book comprises several chapters. Chapter 4, Halidor the Swift, 700 years of age, wood elf storyteller hailing from the wood of sharp teeth. It took me several 10 days of quiet habitation in the wood before the venerable Halidor felt comfortable revealing his presence to me. The longer I stayed, demonstrating I was no threat to his health and peace, the more open he was to gentle inquiry. This tale, relayed to me on a chilly morning as we stoked a small fire between us, was like none I had ever heard before or since. I asked if it were fiction, and he insisted emphatically it was as true as his own right eye. Long ago, before my eyes and ears, before your lonesome quill, dear scribe, there was an empire of people, or perhaps only belief, an empire of brain-eaters, soul-wasters. They called themselves the Lithids, the flayers of minds. The children of Gith were vowed, been in service to the flayers. Passionate people, made to serve a cold belief. Flayers were untouchable, their minds the great oppressor. No proud will or passion could break Gith's children free, until at last a reckoning. Its source unknown, its power unproven, but its event history-making. The cowed would not be cracked. Gith's children fought back valiantly, their freedom theirs, the flayers bent and broken till today. So that is a synopsis of how the Gith were able to free themselves from Mind Flayer domination. Very cool stuff. Here we have Scroll of Expeditious Retreat and Magic of the Weave, an introduction. Few try to understand the weave, a true pity, for only they who truly attune to the weave can rightly call themselves spellcasters. Thus comes the question, what is the weave? It is an essential element of the universe that runs through everything in unseen threads. It is what makes magic possible. It is also, though I will not go into further detail here, the goddess Mystra herself. The weave isn't magic precisely, rather it is the raw material from which magic is woven, not entirely unlike how a collection of threads is shaped and formed into a garment. Those with the necessary talent and skill can manipulate the weave and perform magic by casting spells. Developing this skill takes years of learning and constant practice. You might have heard of those who can cast spells because they are born with an innate connection to the weave, commonly called sorcerers. Hello, Gale. Or worse, because they struck a bargain with an otherworldly creature, also known as warlocks. Hello, Will. Do not be deceived. Their magic is unpredictable, uncontrolled, and in some cases, not even rightfully theirs. No, to truly know and manipulate the weave is an art. But those wizards who master it will know the limitless power and beauty the weave provides. So some interesting insight on a couple party members there. Always good to read. We just read that, so we will continue on. Hopefully my voice will not give out from all of this reading. I'm not used to reading aloud. I'll try and do my best. Not sound like the teacher in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Bueller. Sightings Record. A long list of owlbear sightings in the region, separated by a date. The latest entry, written a 10-day ago, says, Cub! The word is underlined several times. So we have an owlbear in the region who has recently had a cub. It's important to note. Stone tablets. We have read this Fringe Philosophy Volume 5. I'll save that for when we have the other volumes. And that's another Volume 5. Missives of Candlekeep, read it. Fringe Philosophy. Oh, cool. Scroll of Protection from Evil and Good. And that one is empty. Stone tablets. Those are empty. Here we have a personal account. Let's examine that. Personal account, an old brittle slate reflecting on dark events and missed opportunities. It is unsigned. It's by Halsin. In Ketheric, I saw our failures made manifest. He did not fall, he was pushed. His grief was twisted by shadow, and still we did not act until his light was all but snuffed. Ketheric Thorm comes into huge play very shortly. He is one of our adversaries. A most intriguing one at that. He's a very complex character. Unlike the other adversaries that we'll run into, his partners basically, he is complex, along the lines of John Arenicus from Baldur's Gate 2. Not quite that good, but Ketheric is a good adversary. Stone tablets on death and resurrection. I think I read this. Yeah, I did. A lot of repeat copies in the game, which is good because this single video is getting on to 40 minutes already. I've read those. Okay, so that covers all of the reading and the more interesting items available for pickup. Actually, did I read notes on Drow Parasite or did I skip it? No, I didn't read this. Anatomical sketches of both the drow and an illithid tadpole are accompanied by notes written in an urgent scribble. The parasite was nestled deep in the brain matter, illithid, undoubtedly, yet the host seemed unaware. While alive? No visible signs of ceremorphosis on the cadaver. This is most strange. Final note is a single underlined word, altered. So that gives us an idea that the tadpoles that we carry are not normal, and which might help explain why we have not yet turned. Now while we're here, let's loot this dude. He's got a letter on him. Orders taken from the body of a drow scout. They're written in an elegant hand. Let's read it, and then steal it. Track the druid. Find whatever burrow he runs to, and report back to me. Remember, you are only a scout. Do not engage. Do not kill anyone. Simply observe and return. I shall decide what to do next. M. So with that said, I think we're going to talk to this guy. Yeah, I thought I had one. Speak to the dead.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Who are you?
Ned Siranis of the Absolute.
What happened to you?
Scouting. Found druids.
How many drow are out there?
Minthara. Back at camp.
So one other drow. Where did you get your tadpole?
The corpse remains silent. It doesn't understand the question.
So he's unaware that he had a tadpole on him. Where did you start following the Absolute?
Moonrise Towers. Initiation.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
Alright, well this will wrap up our episode of Nettie. Next up we will be using the Key of the Ancients to go through the door back here and into some tunnels that are behind Druids Grove and run beneath Emerald Grove. Well, not Druids Grove, but behind the Druids Sanctum. And they run beneath Emerald Grove. Pretty cool little area. Did come across this as I was reading this room. Druid Notebook. An edgy notebook telling the fragmented story of an accidental death and a cursed blade. Ketheric is finished, but it cost us the land. Darkness has fallen. Corruption is everywhere. Another fragment. Chased by shadows, picking us off, druids and harpers alike. Another fragment. Our wounded were safe. I returned, searching for survivors. Another fragment. Lost, but I found his shade. I put it to rest and took his glaive. Final fragment. Blade infused with shadow. I have locked it away to serve as a reminder that even victory can taste better. So this tells us there is a glaive in the secret room for which we need a rune that Rath has on him. You can steal it from him, but you also get it as a reward for a quest. So we will just be patient and get it then. Though that would be a very nice weapon to have for some battles that are coming up. Yeah. But there it is. This place has been fully looted. So we will rest, and then we will open the room that goes back here. Well, yeah, we'll take another... Yeah, we'll do a long rest. So, yep, this was getting help from Nettie, which we did not.